Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Guys, welcome back to r/EntitledPeople, where people truly believe the world revolves around them and nobody else matters. And in today's episode, we've got people sharing stories of when they accidentally became an entitled person. And one OP tells the story about a time a Karen accuses her of stealing her own dog. Guys, I hope you enjoy the hilarious stories today. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, and as always, you can send or link your post to this email right here. Let's dive in. Okay, so this happened yesterday. I just woke up and the realization has hit me like a truck, and I feel like a huge entitled a-hole. Let me explain. So my son plays on the local YMCA t-ball team, and yesterday was their end of the season party at the local splash pad where they were going to be having pizza. I work nights and I haven't been to most of his games because of it, so I'm not really familiar with the parents of the kids. My son just went off to play, and I was sitting under the pavilion with another parent who politely greeted the parents as they arrived, also watching his kids play. I have social anxiety and my significant other didn't come with me, so I was sitting there watching my kid play when this other parent sitting at another table said hello to me, and he starts talking to me. The guy had multiple pizzas sitting next to him, and he was already eating one of them along with his kids, who were my son's age. This is when my son comes up to me and he says he's hungry. So I walk to the pizza table, pick up the empty box the man was eating out of, and I got my son a few pizza slices from the box underneath. I can then hear the man say, "Helping yourself to some of my pizza, I see. That's nice of you." Now, at the moment, I didn't think anything of it. I thought that this was some funny, quirky thing he was saying, like, ha ha, since I'm sitting beside these pizza boxes, all of this pizza's mine. And I just laughed and said, "I guess I am. It looks delicious. Don't mind if we do." So we sit down, and my son barely eats any of his pizza, and then he runs back off to play. A few minutes later, the coach who I recognized arrives with more boxes of pizza. And I remember thinking, damn, that's a lot of pizza for like 8 kids and parents. And I just realized this as I woke up, that once the team arrived, that man and his kids didn't stay for the party because they weren't a part of the team. I literally went up to a random family just having an afternoon lunch, and I took some of their pizza for my kid, thinking it was the team pizza. And on top of that, I dropped the most Karen line ever, saying, "Don't mind if I do." Now, the thing is, I'll never see this man again, but I'm sure he's told many people of this entitled woman who took some of his kids' pizza for her own at the park. F my life. Oh my goodness, guys, I would be totally mortified too if I accidentally did something like that. And the fact that OP didn't realize until the next morning is freaking hilarious. I'm sorry. Like, the guy's kids were probably thinking, "Dad, why did that strange woman eat some of our pizza?" And the dad was probably like, she probably needs it more than us, son." Oh, the freaking horror, right? But hey, at least OP and the guy both have stories to tell for the rest of their lives. So, to start, I'm a police officer, and to me, one of the most entitled things a person can do is commit blatant theft and not care about the consequences. With that said, let me get to the story. The day this happened, I woke up at 5 a.m., tired as heck. I got ready for work, put my uniform on, checked my gear, kissed my sleeping wife, and slowly walked to my patrol car in front of my house, probably looking like a stereotypical zombie. I then start my routine. I got in the car, turned the radar on, checked on duty, and then started playing music from the best Prepare for a Police Shift album of all time, Elder Scrolls Skyrim, original soundtrack. Now for my 15-minute commute to the city. My vehicle was getting low on gas, so I stopped at my favorite gas station to fill up and went inside for my daily breakfast burrito. Now keep in mind, I'm in full police uniform. I went in, put my sausage, egg, and cheese burrito in a paper tray, and then grabbed all the needed hot sauces. I then grabbed a cup and filled it up with coffee, like I do at the beginning of every shift. After this, still in zombie mode, I went back to my patrol vehicle with the goodies and continued on with my day. At around noon, I get a call from my sergeant who simply said, "I need to talk to you at the department." I'm oblivious as to why he would need to talk to me, so I begin heading to the police department. Millions of thoughts rushed through my head, all wondering what he would want to discuss with me. Upon my arrival, I was directed to my lieutenant's office. When I walked in, I hear a stern close the door. At this point, I knew this wasn't good. I sit down, being stared down by my corporal, sergeant, and lieutenant. After a preface from my sergeant, he says, "So, you need to tell me everything that happened this morning, especially at the gas station you stopped at." At this point, I didn't say anything. I just sat there and thought about it again. And at that moment, it finally hit me. I said, "Oh crap, I forgot to pay for my burrito and coffee." I then heard, "That's theft." They then told me that this morning, the owner of the gas station called, complaining that a uniformed officer came in, grabbed some food, and just walked past everyone in line without paying, not even giving anyone eye contact, and that I ignored the cashier when they said, "Excuse me," trying to get my attention. The owner then asked if our department allowed such entitled cops to be employed, who think they can just waltz into a store and take things and then leave. After a come-to-Jesus moment with my superiors, I left, went to the gas station, and paid for my burrito and coffee. They didn't want to press charges. Although nothing really came of this incident, the crappy part of this is I can't go back and fix what that looked like to other customers. All they saw is what looked like this entitled cop walking into the store, making a coffee, grabbing food for himself, and walking out without paying. On a lighter tone, now the officers have nicknamed me the Burrito Burglar, and they jokingly ask for tips on how to steal stuff when I see them. Oh man, the look on Opie's face when he remembered he forgot to pay must have been priceless, guys. And honestly, I have a feeling that all those superiors were in the meeting just to see his face of realization. With that said though, I have a feeling the owner was looking to get OP in some sort of trouble. Like if OP was a regular and they saw him in there every single day, they'd know from the other times that he always paid for his stuff, right? So why not wait until next time he comes in and then bring it up with him? Like that's what I think. Either that or OP's done this so many times before in zombie mode that this time they were like, you know what, we gotta call in this BS. It has to stop. But very unlikely. So let me tell you about the time that I thought I encountered an entitled Karen, but she was more of a concerned citizen. Let me explain. About a month ago, me and my girlfriend were out on a walk, enjoying crisp autumn air. We decided to go to a local bakery before heading home. This bakery sells delicious hot chocolate and other treats. So we get inside and order 2 hot chocolates. My girlfriend is lactose intolerant, so having milk does make her feel sick. But she's able to enjoy it no problem if she has lactase enzyme capsules before eating anything with milk in it. This bakery was empty, apart from us and an older lady sitting a few tables away from us. As we're waiting for the order, my girlfriend had to use the restroom, so she left for a while. Our drinks arrived not long after. Now, my girlfriend uses the lactase capsules that can be opened and sprinkled on top of the food or drink before eating it. My girlfriend finds that opening them and adding them straight to food works best for her. I was carrying her stuff in my pockets, so I decided to mix the pill in her drink before she came back so it could take its time to dissolve properly. So I opened the pill, poured the stuff inside her hot chocolate, and then mixed it in and didn't think much of it. At this point, the lady left and I was sitting there alone now. My girlfriend was taking a while, so I started wondering if everything was fine. A little while later, my girlfriend, looking like she was holding in her laughter, came back to the table with the old lady. The lady looked at me with a stern look on her face, and then she raises her voice, loud enough for staff to hear, and she demands to know what the hell I put in my girlfriend's drink. At this point, I was confused, and it took me a while to process the question, because in my mind, I was just doing what I normally do. She then screamed at me again, asking me even louder this time what I put in this girl's drink. And then I realized how suspicious I must have looked. A guy out with a girl, taking a pill from his pocket and mixing the content of it in her drink while she was using the bathroom. And that's exactly what the lady sitting a few tables away from us saw. I'm an anxious man, so I panicked and I frantically start explaining everything to the lady, showing her the package for the pills and everything. My girlfriend confirmed what I was saying, but the lady was having a hard time believing it, and she said my girlfriend was trying to cover for my sleazy ass, but she wasn't going to have it, that I picked the wrong day to mess with a poor girl. Meanwhile, my girlfriend's trying to talk her into not calling the cops. So long story short, she takes out her phone and she called the cops. So we had to wait for them to show up and explain the situation to them. I felt extremely awkward and embarrassed. The old lady was in a bit of a shock, but eventually she believed everything was okay and she left. In the end, we were able to laugh about the situation. I'm really glad the lady actually took action, and I did thank her for trying to help in a situation like that. It's good to know that people look after each other. You know what? Despite that woman ignoring OP's girlfriend and still calling the cops, which some people may think is a total Karen move, I think it was awesome what she did. Like, what an amazing old lady. Like, yeah, it might have been an embarrassing moment for OP, but it's actually really nice to know that there's good people out there looking out for others in the world, and they're not scared to scream at random strangers for things they shouldn't be doing. And seriously, that's always one thing I've admired with entitled Karens. Like, they may be wrong 99% of the time and be a-holes about it, but the fact that entitled Karens have no fear and can voice their opinions and aren't scared of anybody is actually pretty impressive. This happened years ago, and thinking back, I can't help but laugh because I sounded like an entitled piece of crap when this happened. Also, when this occurred, you could pump gas at the gas station and then pay after. At this time, I had 2 vehicles registered in my name. One I drove and the other my sister drove. Now, for some reason, I was getting a lot of prank and scam calls during a 2-week period. I would always get scam calls randomly throughout the day, and after a while, it was very annoying. One morning at around 9 a.m. while getting ready for work, I received a phone call. Now, I was so fed up with these idiots calling at all hours of the day that I decided at the very moment this unknown number was calling me is that I was going to humor this person, to waste their time and to teach them a lesson. It went something like this. I pick up the phone, and being tired and groggy from a bad night's sleep, I'm in a bad mood. I pick up and say, "What?" I then hear a man's voice say, "Hi, this is Officer Jones from the police department." And I say, "Oh, really? It is it?" He says, "Yes, we have footage of you stealing gas from the gas station. If you could..." I then interrupt him right there and say, "Oh, is that right? You have footage of me stealing gas? Good. And let me guess, you want me to get my credit card out and pay you, right? Are you effing kidding me?" The voice says, "No, this is a serious matter. We ran your plates and the vehicle is registered to you. Now if you can..." I then stop him right there and say, "Oh, sure you did. I totally believe you. In fact, with gas prices this high, people should be stealing gas. We're all getting robbed, don't you think? And let me ask, do you have nothing better to do than to call people and waste their time, you effing idiot?" The man just says, "Sir, I don't think you understand the severity of this situation." I reply, "I don't think you understand. I don't give an F. In fact, I'm going to keep stealing gas. I'm never going to stop. Never, ever, ever. And you idiots will never get a dime out of me." It's at this point the voice says, "Sir, I will send officers to your house right now." And I reply, "Please do, bitch. I'll be waiting." The man just says, "Okay, I tried to explain the severity of this situation to you respectfully." I just say to him, "Why are you still talking? I don't give an F. You can send the whole effing police force to my house. For all I care, I'll be waiting." I then hang up the phone. Now, not much long after that, my sister calls me while I'm at work. She tells me there's cops at our house and they're looking for me, and apparently they're not happy. At the time, I'm like, what the F? And that's when I start putting 2 and 2 together. My sister at the time had this druggy piece of crap boyfriend who would often drive her car. And that's when it dawned on me that he was the one stealing gas in my other car. I tell my sister it's obviously him that stole the gas. And here's the thing, my sister wouldn't admit that her dumbass boyfriend did anything. After I get off the phone with my sister, Officer Jones calls back, and I change my tune real quick. I explain that I had no idea he was a real cop, and I apologized for calling him a bitch, using loads and loads of profanity, and being really, really rude to him. I then explain that my sister's a-hole boyfriend is the one they should be looking for. I tell him that I'm definitely at work with my other car and I can get any verification he needs. And did they end up finding my sister's boyfriend? Yes, they did, but only because he was arrested for a robbery a couple of days later. I still talk to my sister, but this has caused us to have a falling out. She ends up marrying her loser boyfriend. And the guy's in prison now, by the way, for aggravated assault on somebody that ended up with them being in a wheelchair for life. So yeah, that's my entitled Karen situation, where I was acting like an entitled Karen. You know what, honestly, that ended a lot better than I thought it would. Like, I thought they would show up to OP's house looking to make an arrest for sure. Especially after OP was so freaking rude to the cop he spoke with. But can you blame him? Like, with all the spam calls and stuff nowadays, do you really blame OP for losing it on that person? Like, I had a scam call one time saying I had 50 pizzas waiting at my house and nobody to pay for it, and to give them my credit card number. And if I don't, cops were coming. And you know what I said? I said the exact same thing OP did. I said, send all the cops, I'll be waiting. But no cops ever came to my house though, because in my situation, it was actually a real scammer call. So work was really rough today, and all I wanted to do afterwards was sit on my couch and let the TV watch me while eating food not cooked by my own hands. And the answer to that was delivery. The food was ordered, and I let the dog into the yard to burn some energy, and I sat camped outside with him while waiting for delivery. The thing is, DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber, and everyone other than Jehovah's Witnesses have trouble locating my address, strictly relying on GPS. So I usually post up and wait outside for when they're close, to flag them down. And here are some details before crap hits the fan. My neighbor and I share a fence with a doggy door, as our pups are super close. And you can bet that each time if my dog's outside, hers will follow for cross-yard playtime. This was the case today, and probably bad judgment on my part to think I would be able to break up the fun so quickly. Both dogs were in the neighbor's yard the time the notification came through the driver was pulling up, and I had to call out a few times to get my dog's attention. Neighbor thankfully whistled for her dog, and I had to put on the voice for mine to acknowledge I existed, and then took off running for my door while waving for the driver who by this point was getting out of her car. Now, my pup and I have a game called Runaway, where I'll take off yelling, "Runaway," and literally he'll chase after me like some human-sized fetch stick. I used this to my advantage until he realized I was putting him inside. I managed to get him through the storm door and close the screen before he could run out. I then realized that I left the gate locked like an idiot, with the driver standing right outside by this point. My dog was barking like crazy, so I yelled from the porch that she could leave the food by the mailbox, and this is where the fun starts. The woman yells at me and says, "Is that your dog?" At this point, my BS meter did not go off. I thought she was asking a question with an obvious answer, because duh, she was a dog person. So I engaged with dog owner gushiness. I said to her, "Yes, he is, blah blah blah. His name is XYZ. Do you want to say hi?" In my mind, I'm thinking, I'll be nice because you brought my food. But the woman just stands there awkwardly for a moment. She then puts the food down and quickly jumped back inside her car. In my mind, I was like, okay, that's weird, but whatever. I then snatched the food and went back inside. I went to wash my hands, and from the kitchen window, I can see the full street where she still is parked outside. I was thinking, okay, that's kind of weird. I didn't dwell on it too much, figuring that she was looking at the route to her next location. I just went about my business of preparing to destroy my meal. A few minutes later, the dog begins barking manically at the door. I take a glance at the cameras and I realize that she's still out front, parked directly in front of my mailbox. And I'm thinking, okay, what's going on here? I go outside and try to get her attention, but she's on the phone and doesn't notice me. I walk up, like I'm going to check the mail, and she does a pull-off, but towards the back of the neighborhood that only has one way in and one way out. Lots of people make that mistake, so you'll quickly see cars turning back around, but the thing is, the woman never came back. By this time, I think I'm losing my mind. So I go back inside, but still watching the street for the car to pass, but it never does. I just think to myself that people are weird, so I just left it at that and went back to eat. About 10 minutes later, my dog starts going ham at the door, so I check the cameras to see 2 police cars sitting outside my house. I continue to watch the cameras, realizing that yep, the cops are getting out of the car and they're walking back and forth in front of mine and my neighbor's yards. I of course go outside to see if anything's wrong, and they introduce themselves before saying that they were called because a stolen golden retriever was reported at my address, and if there was a dog in the home. It then clicked that the driver called the police, and that's when I explained my version of what happened. They were really respectful and apologetic, but they asked if I could get my puppy. I went ahead and opened the door for the dog, who just took off, ready to greet the new faces outside. His collar has tags matching the address with my name and phone number on it in case he was ever lost or stolen. And that was proof enough for them, as it was obvious that they wanted to get this over with as fast as possible. No hard feelings on either side. We were all walking away when driver's car slowly comes creeping from the back of the neighborhood. I yelled out to the cops that the lady was right there, and they positioned themselves in front of her car in a way that she would have to stop and speak with them. Now, I don't know if this lady was drunk off her meds, but she rolls down the window and she was literally sobbing hysterically. She then told the cops that she saw me taking the dog from the neighbor's yard, that animals get no justice, and here's the icing on the cake. She says my kind only owns pit bulls and Rottweilers, that there was no way a golden retriever was mine and he needs to be protected. Now, I honestly didn't want to deal with that mess, so I asked the cops if they were done with me, and I went back inside and stayed on my couch. My day was already crappy. Everybody left a few minutes after that, so I assumed she only got a warning. However, I did report the incident to the delivery service, and I was offered credits towards my next meal. I'm just grateful it didn't end worse. Guys, all I can say is frickin' Karen's, right? And you know for a fact she was waiting around the corner to watch OP get arrested. Like, what a piece of crap human being. Like, think, Karen, think. Like, the woman literally thought that OP stole the dog from their next door neighbor, and that it was gonna go unnoticed unless she called the cops. She's such a hero, right? But hey, Karens aren't known for their logical conclusions, so I'm not surprised. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of r/EntitledPeople. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's stories. If you did, hit that thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing so you don't miss these crazy stories. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, it's an r/malicious compliance, guys, where Karens are getting absolutely destroyed. Guys, go check it out if you haven't, and myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.